IPFS, Gun, and YJS, and then the actual video, if it works. Okay, we've got 1 peer, 5 peers now. So it's downloading. It's 5 peers coming in. So this is basically trying to weave peer-to-peer into the web itself, but there's all sorts of other magic here. Oh, I know you're all going to really want to go see this movie to make sure you're standing up straight and the like. But WebTorrent was doing a lot of this, and so it's not only downloading, but this web browser is uploading this file already. Can we go and make this smoothly easy to do? And how do we get the bootstrapping system such that this can happen in censorship? In a censorship-resistant way. The Internet Archive is completely blocked in China, for instance, and sometimes blocked in Russia and occasionally in India, blah, 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 blah. Can we go and keep things up and available through these technologies? And I think so, but we're not quite there yet. So what's the benefits of going through all of this work? Right? We have ability to go into our websites, our home pages, or whatever. Well, I'd say there are 4 big ones. One is we can make things more reliable. They can be archivable. It's like Git. You can roll things back. You can fork. All sorts of nice things. Censorship resistant, and even works in poorly connected zones, like, say, a lot of the United States. It offers more privacy. One thing that was really spooky to me as in the Snowden revelations is the GCHQ, the NSA of the United Kingdom, stood in front of the WikiLeaks website and recorded all the IP addresses that came in. And it turned over a large number of those to the NSA for further whatever they wanted to do. In the papers, we don't know what the NSA did with that, but the idea of people being rounded up for what it is they read and had bad things happen to them had a very long bad tradition in the library world. So this is sort of, puts a big red flag of the idea of just getting in trouble for what you're reading is not good enough. It's not how the world's supposed to work. So let's build a better system. Two more things is we can build a business model that works better than advertising, and we can make it fun and malleable. I think we can make a system that works a whole lot better and does better. Okay, here's my laundry list of 13 projects that has been evolving out of the Decentralized Web Summit and the upcoming in the summer, next summer, the DEVCON Camp in San Francisco. These are areas that could really use some help. For instance, naming in the whole decentralized web world. If we're going to move beyond DNS, how should that work? That's actually probably a very good place for registries and ledgers and the like. How do we do key management on the DWeb? This is really tricky. It's Dietrich of Mozilla talked yesterday of wanting to build better key management into the browsers. Let's help them. Let's try to figure out what we should do to be able to do that in such a way that it works well for normal people. Identity, reputation, how to do mutable data at scale. So BitTorrent, we implemented BitTorrent on all of our materials, so we have 45 petabytes of materials available in BitTorrent, which is kind of cool, but it's all static, and if any of those files change, if you don't get the new torrent, it will go and just continuously download, thinking that it didn't get a proper version. So we have problems by having things be more mutable than the BitTorrent or IPFS worlds currently work. How do we do archiving in the decentralized web? Do we need incentivized structures? I'm hoping that we can get ISPs to go and make their own cached decentralized web nodes, even if it's just to serve to their customers. So it's basically a content distribution network that's open access. So it's not Akamai that only the big boys Netflix can go and put in. That anybody, materials just get faster by their getting out there. So the Internet Archive can play a role, but can we have lots of different organizations play a role in archiving and caching materials? Reader privacy is notoriously hard. If Zuko says that privacy is sort of not easy to get absolute, then geez, what are mere mortals supposed to be able to do here? But we can make progress. We can make it so at least the GCHQ attack on WikiLeaks readers is much more difficult to do. Takedowns in the era of hashes rather than URLs. What does that look like? And should they be avoided? Are they opt-in? Is it kind of like spam? How is it going to work? Another row of challenges. Again, what I'm trying to do is trying to excite you guys to help out. Say, I think I've got an idea on how to help on, say, web beyond advertising. I've got a puzzle for you. It's a crypto puzzle that I've even posed to Whit Diffie, and he hasn't come back with an answer. Is can you make a D purchase on the D web? What do I mean by that? My kid is a guitarist. He plays songs, and so he has an album. What if he wants to make a decentralized website that has his album on it? The first one's free, you can just play it. But the others he wants to sell. So he wants to sell for some amount of money. What I imagine is we would encrypt those songs with a key. And then it would go and advertise on the decentralized web page, put a coin in the slot, and then you'll get the key to go and unlock the song. Right? You could go and rip them off by going and unencrypting and then passing it to your friends or whatever, but that's always the case. But at least if you wanted to play the game, can we make it work without any Amazon or iTunes or even an escrow agent? And I can't figure out how to do that because it requires having a secret key that lives, say, in a public contract. And I don't know enough about zero knowledge proofs to be able to figure out whether that works. But anyway, if we can crack that, then you can feel confident putting a coin in the slot and knowing you're going to be able to get some decentralized content that's for pay. Can we make the decentralized web work in the browser itself? I'd say one of the cool things that these guys did in the area of this decentralized Internet Archive that you just saw is there was no extension. There was no new browser. It works on your phone. And actually, now, go ahead, please do. Go to dweb.archive.org and just try it out. Because you're going to be basically using everybody else that's here to be going and starting to access the Internet Archive site. So can we make it work in browsers completely unchanged? And I think the answer is kind of, but we're going to need some help from the browser companies themselves. But can we really get going? Storage in the decentralized web. Is it going to be Filecoin? Is it going to be the Internet Archive? How are we going to do larger scale storage than what's actually on blockchain? Governance in the D-Web. I'd say this community is thinking harder about governance than anything I've ever seen. In terms of the whole DAO thing is terrific, that we need many models to be played with. What are we going to do about the D-Web and the standards that are kind of evolved in that space, and who can help? And lastly, can we define our decentralized terms? I mean, I'm old enough to remember E, when E was supposed to mean something, or open. Remember, open seemed to have some definition? At least Stallman had some real definitions of what free software meant. He had principles. And I think we need the same kinds of things around decentralization, or it could just become a marketing term that is just wasted. We sort of would have built up a lot of goodwill around a term that will mean as much as organic. And so if we can go and do something in that area, I think it would be a very good long-term investment. And of course, rethinking the UI and UX, because I don't know about you, but I always have these cool things that I want my wife to use. And it just, if it's not actually working, well, she'll just sort of, she's my good QA department. It's like not good enough to survive. So let's go and make the D-Web a fun and interesting area to play in. To help, I would suggest, what I've been doing is I've been trying out the puzzle. If you're driving around or in a shower, blank but decentralized. So just try it out on your favorite piece of tech. I think Google Docs is freaking magic. It is an amazing technology, but it's creepy. So anything that's creepy, I want to go and think, can I make blank but decentralized? Google Docs but decentralized. Google Maps but decentralized. Slack but decentralized. Twitter, but decentralized. Facebook, but decentralized. We just bought a Tesla, which is kind of cool. And it is like driving a phone. It is really strange. It is a connected device. The company knows everywhere we are. It is creepy. So how do you make cars that are as cool as a Tesla, but decentralized? It is absolutely possible to do. And one thing you might want to try out is your own thing that you're doing. And I know if you're doing things in decentralized tech, you say, oh, well, I'm already doing that. But maybe your homepage isn't. Maybe your blog isn't. So how do we go and make all of this work? I want to just say thank you to Mitra and the Internet Archive engineers that made this demo all work, and thank God it did. WebTorrent, IPFS, Gun, YJS, and others have really put in a lot over the last year to make this work, and they're continuing to make it so that work in censorship resistance and for mass back uploading and replicating petabytes of information. Let's build the web we want, and the only way we're going to do that is together. I'm hoping that this was somewhat useful, and I look forward to talking with you. Any questions? Was I really that unprovocative?
Brewster, this isn't like a question per se, but I work with IPFS on a almost daily basis, and my company and I believe solved already some of those 13 challenges. So my question is, would we be able to talk to you after?
Sure, absolutely. And you can talk to any of a number of people, because it's not just me, it's now groups of people, and we're trying to basically put these together. So yes, if you have real clues as to how to make progress on these, they are this sort of the outstanding list.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, great talk. Thank you so much. I'm wondering how you think about incentivization for obscure data, stuff that, like from the 50s, these movies that probably nobody will ever really look at. How do you keep those around?
How do we deal with the long-term preservation of stuff at the long tail? Right? The Hollywood movies are going to take care of themselves just fine. How do we deal with the long tail? I think it's by making compatible systems that are easy enough to use that even librarians know how to use. The cool thing about libraries is they're paid to give stuff away. It's about a $12 billion a year industry in the United States. It's about a $21 billion a year industry in the world. They just haven't modernized. So the Internet Archive, I think it was pretty modern, but the library system hasn't modernized. But boy, are they up for it. So when the last election happened, I got worried about being in the United States and said, gosh, let's accelerate this, make copies in multiple places. So the Internet Archive has got 2 copies in the United States, partial copy in Amsterdam, and a partial copy in Alexandria, Egypt. For real, actually, it's kind of cool. But we also then said, how about Canada? What can we do there? So I went around to our Canadian friends and they said, sure, sign us up. We're up for spending money in our universities to go and help back up parts, if not the whole thing. But I didn't have the tech for them. The idea of having just dead, dumb storage someplace is good but not great. You really need continuous usability. So they wanted to go and have copies of parts of the collections, but also serve them. That's, I think, the opportunity of a decentralized Internet Archive. So if we did this, there's plenty of money for keeping, mere exabytes alive, which basically is everything written plus basically published. We're 45 petabytes of data, and we're small. So I'd say the long tail, we can count on that part of the system as long as it's compatible with the thriving commercial system. The library world is difficult to go and drive forward technologies, but it can ride other people's technologies. It's an idea.
Thank you.
Actually, regarding this question, I built a system at the Ethereum San Francisco hackathon. It's called LaserBot, which is a decentralized optical storage system precisely for this long-term archiving.
Sign that man up. Great. We need more ideas on this, and I think a lot of these things are bottom up. If we just wait for the Library of Congress to do something, it's going to be a long fricking time. So it's going to be bottom up, and that sounds like there's Freedom Box, there's a bunch of other boxes that people have tried to make. Let's make them useful and used. Yes?
Your answer about moving the archive, thank you, in the Trump moment was part of my, answer is part of my question. The question is, in the Trump moment, what projects, maybe that you didn't even mention here, should we be focused on? / what norms give you pause?
What project should we be focused on now? There's a lot more excitement around the nonprofit sector than there was even 10 years ago when people were just trying to make some crappy app and, you know, buy a house for cash or whatever. Just, yeah. So there's a lot more interest in these, the EFFs, public knowledge, Wikipedia, Internet Archive. Our biggest donations from ever, other than from me, have been from the crypto world, actually. The Pineapple Fund gave us $2 million. Ethereum Foundation gave us $100,000. Handshake gave us $100,000. Amisco gave us $30,000. We've gotten a lot of support, actually. So that's, I guess that's my shilling moment here. But there is interest in these spaces, and I really feel, and I was invited here. I think it's kind of cool, because we're really from a non-commercial space. We are for the public good. And that's being involved in the conversations, I think is a really good sign. In terms of what to actually do, is I've got a list of 13 things that if we solve those, I think that we can crack through and make an awful lot of the websites we use decentralized and you wouldn't even know it. That would be the best case. It's like, oh yeah, of course it's decentralized. It's like, of course it's HTTPS. Right, of course it's, and just how do we go and make it all just go decentralized?
My question is kind of two-part. You mentioned earlier about China and not being able to access. I wonder if the dweb.archive.org is accessible in any way in a place like China that has restrictions?
Not yet. China is actually really difficult to crack. It'll probably be easier in Turkey or Iran or some of the other places that were blocked. I think, no, we're up in Iran now. So there's, but because you have to go and get rid of every access to the DNS, for instance. And that is challenging. So China blocks us largely by messing with our DNS and by blocking things going to our IP addresses. So we don't have that yet, and it's a lot of the bootstrapping problem, and that I think is going to require either browser manufacturer cooperation or extensions.
Okay, that was part of my second question. When you mentioned going beyond DNS, I just wondered if you could expound more on what you
Mitra, who's been working on this, has been making a cool system to go and make it so that if you have dweb in your domain name, dweb.archive.org, it mutates that into a dwebme/arc/archive.org or something like that. And it'll do it for any prepend like that. So if you have dweb in any domain name, it'll swap these around. And it then looks it up in a sequence of databases to find who has the authority for that part of the subtree.
Is there something you can read more about?
Yeah, it's all open source, but I'm not sure it's the perfect thing, but people are trying. And to basically build a sort of DNS that's open and resilient and doesn't have some of the problems we saw in the last time around.
Thank you.
Hello.
And whenever I should get the yank, please yank me. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks for the talk. Who can upload content to the Internet Archive?
You can.
And how is that content governed or curated? Can it get deleted somehow? Who is governing the platform?
How do you upload to the Internet Archive and can it get deleted somehow? Is that the question? So on archive.org, there's a button, upload. Please hit it. Please hit it now. Just hit it. Hit upload. And just try uploading something. It's a little clunky. It's worse than what but it supports YouTube. It supports videos and books and all sorts of things and makes it into lots of different formats and tries to keep them alive forever. But we do take things down. And we do, under US law, we try to push back. but we are under U.S. law. So if people make a valid copyright complaint and prove it, then we will make it not available publicly. If you want to go and use the archive at scale, use s3.archive.org. We're trying to be bug compatible with Amazon.com's S3 Cloud, s3.amazon.com, so you can use your bucket and upload things at scale. Please let us know if you're going to do many terabytes or many petabytes, but we're very interested. So that's how all of the materials, we get 23 terabytes a day coming into the Internet Archive. All of it comes through our S3 implementation. So you can use S3, really easy, or just go to the website, hit upload, and please do.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you for the talk. I thought there were a lot of really great points that you made.
I guess this is the last question.
So, in terms of just trying to get more people.
Can it be the second to last question? Okay, go.
Sorry, yeah. So more people from around the world accessing the same internet, trying to not move into this two-internet parallel that's emerging with nations like China kind of having a separate internet.
Yes.
So how can we prevent that with better interfaces? / what can we do to, like you said earlier, you have to take some things down based upon U.S. law. That seems to be both a good thing in terms of preventing malicious content, but then also a bad thing in terms of potentially having a burning down of the Alexandria library.
Yeah.
Moment. Like, how do we prevent that?
I'm not sure I've talked about this in public. Why we're blocked in China, as best I can tell. So, in general, countries will come to us and go and say, this particular thing is not legal in Germany or whatever, under our expansive copyright terms. And so if they basically make a good case that it's illegal in their country, then we'll block it for users in that country. And that has allowed us to survive very well. The U.S. is actually pretty liberal, unless you talk about child porn or almost anything dealing with Muslims. But otherwise, the United States allows a lot to be put out there. In China, there were some uploaded videos to the Internet Archive, and they came and said, you have to take them down. And we said, are they illegal in China? And they said, yes, those are illegal in China. We said, fine, we'll block them in China. And they said, that's not good enough. You have to block them for the whole world. And because they said that, we said, we can't do that. That's not how we operate. And we said, okay, chunk. So 45 petabytes went offline, including millions of books digitized by the Department of Education in China that have been done as a collaborative project. So I think we have to, for those of us that work within the governments and the like, is we just have to make sure that we're not overstepping our bounds and allow some of this experiment to continue. I bet that's the only thing I can think of, and make multiple copies.